So the paint that I've used for this is the VHT Wrinkle Plus. It's the high temperature paint designed for obviously engines and whatnot. So the thing that I've had issues with this paint is it's okay if you're doing something fairly flat, and that's perfectly fine, but this has obviously got so many angles, and across the top of these little fins here, across here, you can see where it's a little bit shiny. Even here, like obviously I did that whole area in one go, but in some places it just was splotchy and it didn't end up wrinkling up the way it should. On the other side, it's like pretty good. This side here worked out really well, and I'm pretty happy with that. But for some unknown reason, some places just don't work. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over it again, because what you're meant to do is you're meant to go over it vertically, horizontally, and then diagonally, all heavy coats, just waiting 5-10 minutes between each coat, I believe. And that's what I did. I followed the instructions, but unfortunately, you know, places like this starter here, the bottom of the starter, just didn't end up getting that wrinkle effect that I'm after. So I'm going to go over it again and do that same like process, do 3 coats heavy, and then hope that these areas here that didn't end up wrinkling up will actually, you know, start to wrinkle. I don't know if it's going to work. Worst case, I guess I'm just putting more paint on this engine, so I'm doubling up with another few coats. And if it doesn't work, then I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I could contact VHT, the company, and see if they have any more tips or tricks to try and get this to work, because I don't really want it to look like this. I want it to be fairly uniform if I can. I did use the heat gun. Apparently that helps a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is sandblast this shroud here. This is the shroud for the fan. I need to sandblast it and give it some new paint. It's looking pretty old and tired, but it will look brand new when I'm finished with it. So I'll do that now, and then I will get it on there. So now that this is pretty much cured, I left it overnight. It's all dry now. I used the same paint that I used on the rest of the engine. The only thing that I have to do left on this is this little rubber seal that actually sits hard up against the radiator. I've just got to glue that back on again. So I'm just going to use some good quality, I guess some silicone, and just squirt some silicone on there and then just push it down flat, and it should stay there indefinitely. So I did end up masking this guy up and painting it. It's the rear brake lever. It's just the same paint once again, and it just tidies it up and makes it a little bit neater. I might need to go over it a little bit more. There's a few little parts here that for some reason have flaked off. I did give it a good sand before I painted it, but I don't know what happened there. We'll figure that out anyway. So this is the cooling system reservoir. As you can see, it's very yellowed. I've just soaked it in bleach pretty much overnight to try and get that yellowing out of it. Had no luck. It has cleaned out the outside a little bit, but it's still really yellow. It looks hideous. I'm not going to install this like this with the rest of the bike looking pretty good. So what I'm going to do, and if you do this, just remember this little trick. If you're going to paint something like this, make sure you have, I guess, a point of where you can actually see the level. So for me, it's like the full is there and the low is there. So I need to put something here, which I'm going to use some pinstriping. Double or triple the thickness here and then pretty much put that on, spray over the entire thing, and then peel that off, and that'll leave me with a strip where I can see the water level. May not be able to see it that easily. I mean, you can always take the cap off and have a look quickly if you're really concerned about it. But for me, I'm not too concerned about painting this black. I don't care that I won't be able to see it that easily, because obviously when you take your bike for a ride, if you haven't ridden it for a while, you're going to check your fuel, you're going to check your oil, you're going to check your water. So to me, it's not a big concern, but a lot of people probably wouldn't go down this road and paint this black, because at the moment you can see the water level really easily. But yeah, don't care. That's what I'm going to do. It's going to look awesome when it's done. I'm not too sure if this paint that I'm going to use is going to adhere to plastic, but I'll have a bit of a look on the instructions and see if that's going to work. If not, I'll have to try and get like some sort of plastic paint. I don't even know if I'll need to put a primer on this or something like that. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention it because you'll see me painting this black soon and you might be going, oh, what are you doing, dude? So that's what's happening. So this is the tank, this is the bottom of it. As you can see, that's the little hole that I've just spent a bit of time cleaning up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to repair it. I've cleaned up all that old silicone and stuff that they used to repair it initially, whoever did it. Now I'm going to do it properly, which is actually welding it, plastic welding. I'm pretty sure this is made out of polyethylene. So I've got a bit of that stuff here. It's high density polyethylene, same as a chopping board, I guess. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a slither at the bottom of this and basically melt it into the tank itself so that it's like completely solid. I don't care what it looks like obviously on the inside, I just want to make sure it's melted in there, and then I'll just grind it off and then that'll be done. So I'll do that now. Let's get into it and see what we can come up with. Hopefully this is poly, hopefully it does like actually adhere to it, or sorry, melt into it, because yeah, so let's give it a go. So that's pretty much the end result. As you can see, there's probably a tiny little bit of a crater in there, just here and here, but I'm not too worried about that. What I'm going to do is actually fill it up with water and give it the water test. This is at the bottom of the tank, so no one's ever going to see it. I'm not too worried about tiny little pinholes. So yeah, fill it up with water, see if it leaks, and then if it doesn't, then we'll go on to actually painting this thing. Well, we sprung a leak, but it's out of one of these guys at the bottom. So I just hold my finger over that. Well, it's full of water and there is 0 leaks, so I'm pretty happy with that. Let's get it painted.